All right.
See.
So when I do this, can y'all see my desktop?
Yes.
Yes.
You can.
We can. Yeah.
You can see my desktop. All right. Can you see that I am about to launch the Dental Manager? So you have an icon. And
yes.
So there's
there it
the
is.
login. Can y'all see it?
Yep.
All right. I can't see you guys, but I'm going to do the best I can. And so when you get the Elegant intraoral scanner in and you download the software, it's going to want you to create an account. So here's my account. It has all different regions of the world in there. You find the one closest to you, and that's what you're gonna use. So then you would sign in after you create your account. So what this is a doctor will have a cloud-based storage system. So this cloud-based storage system is 1,000 gigabytes. So it'll hold a ton of cases. They won't use it up. And if they have a case already in here, they can just select it and import it in and open that case. But on a new patient, you would click, I'm gonna go back, you click create new order. And and then let me start with, because it kind of threw me off, is the other webinars that I've seen of the Elegant 3, mostly they're just showing it. They're saying, no, I got an Elegant 3, and they're not really giving you the basically a tutorial on how it actually works, how the software works and things like that. So I want to show everyone how easy it is. And so my lab actually offers it to doctors in a couple couple ways. Either if they're hard to get and I got to bite the bullet and purchase it, then I purchase it, but I charge them a little extra fee on the back end every month to cover the cost of the equipment. And or I offer it to them and I bring it in as a demo and show it to them. So that has worked very well, because most of my accounts, even the ones that already have some of the big name ones, you know, the Sirona and the Trios and Itero and things like that, the comment I get is this scanner is better. And I'm gonna show you how much better it is. There's some just features and simplicity about it. And at the price point that they offer it, it is the best bang for the money on the market. So here's your order form. It's always going to keep track of your order number. Here we are. I'm going to go back to where we were. Did I already go over this? So you got patient name.
Yes.
You have the doctor. You can do multiple doctors for a multiple doctor practice. They can separate their caseload. And then you can also have your different assistants in here. And so I use that for training purposes. So if you notice someone's in wrong, then I can actually help train them. So I actually entered Tom in there. I'll enter Bob in there. So it's very easy. You just click on that little pencil. Please mute your computer. And there they are. So you have 3 or 2 options here. You have restoration and orthodontic. Can you please mute your microphone? All right. So so on restoration, that's for your crowns and things like that. And then orthodontics, if you're going to do like dentures, partials, I actually tell them to do orthodontic when they do implants also, unless they're going to do custom tissue forming. If they're going to do custom tissue forming, then we'll do restoration. So, you know, to enter a shade, you just type it in. To enter the comments, you just type them in. And, you know, this is the one we get fast. We want it fast. So to actual inner case is very easy. Click on a tooth, these icons pop up, so you just have full crown. If you want to make a bridge, you do it like that. If you want to change that to Ponic, it's very similar to the exocad platform. And so that would link them together. If you want to clear it, so everything about it is simple. So when you select a tooth and you're in restoration, you can select whether you want implant, screw retain, things like that. I find for my doctors that gets a little more confusing. If they want to be advanced and do custom tissue, then we're going to go this route. But if not, we'll just do orthodontic. And orthodontic will only ask you for the working model and the antagonist. It makes the scanning simple. You also can select your materials here. And then for any of my cases, I always ask them to do pre-op, as in yes. Whether it be a broken off tooth or anything, it makes the scanning process a lot easier. And it makes the design a lot easier. So that being said, this is the workup sheet for your prescription. And then once you've done that, you can just save the case and hit scan. So I have everything set up here. So I have the scanner. The scanner has a little holder it goes on. Hopefully everybody can see it. But when you put it on the holder, it activates the start and go button. So when you pick it up off the holder, you'll see the red square show up. It's ready to scan. It also has a button right here. And so if you push that button one time, hopefully everybody can see it. You push it one time, it'll actually pause the scanning. And if you notice, the red square left the middle of the screen. So here's your what to do list up here. So right now it wants to do a pre-op. We selected number 3. So number 3, I'm thinking is right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to scan our pre-op number 3 tooth. So actually, I don't like it when people do demos and show on models. So I am going to scan my mouse. So we're going to have some fun. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that this feature here, these are all your different features. So you can edit, you can isolate little spots of data if you wanted to. This is more like a high definition scan. It's going to give you more images for a smaller amount of area. And then this is your part lock. I'll show you the part lock in just a second. And then if you accidentally scan the arches in reversed order, you do not have to rescan. You can actually hit the swap jaws icon and it'll flip them. The texture, so it does scan in color. But when you find margins and things like that with it, I have found that if you cut the texture to the grayscale, it's easier to see those edges. This is the most important button. It's called the AI feature. This is what makes this scanner better than the rest. The algorithms that they've come up with make this just amazing. I don't get tongues, gloves, cheeks. It erases it automatically. And then you have a metal, a view lock, and for metal crowns like gold crowns, abutments, things like that. It scans metal a little easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to scan a quadrant and on the pre-op. So what I do is I take it and I have it paused. As you can see, there's no red square. So when you see the red square, it's going to be ready to scan. So I take it.
Now that's live. Nice.
So what I did was I messed up a little bit on the other side here just so we could look. And you see how it cleaned it up automatically. That is part of the AI feature. So it really will tell. And what I'm gonna do is you can see it in green here, it shows the parts that I missed. So one of the nice things about the software is you can actually go here to the part lock and you can, hold on, I got this something in my way. Let me move it to the side there. So you can actually take the part lock and let's say you've done a scan and you don't want to mess it up. You just come in here real quick and you color it in and hit the check mark. And now no matter what I do, I cannot mess this scan up, but I want to go get this tooth here and this here. So I take it. And there we go. I picked those up, but you see how you can hardly see a scan, and that's why I scanned a little more here. But it went, and you see now there's color in these areas. There's a little bit of green there, but it picked those parts up. You can't mess a scan up. So that's one of the features I really like about the scanner. So in this instance, this portion of the pre-op is done. So all you do now is if you don't want to touch your mouse or keyboard, you take the button here and you double click it. You have to hold it level and you double click and then you move it to the right like this. And it'll automatically go to the next screen. So it's a hands-free operation that you don't have to mess with your, all those functions can be controlled by this. It just takes a little learning to get used to it. So now it's asking for our posing. So I'll do it real quick. So I paused it. So this is where I'm going to show you the one feature that makes this scanner very nice is that AI feature. So I was actually in an office of mine last week and they had a Sirona and I was telling them that AI wouldn't allow you to scan your tongue. And so we put the scanner in my mouth and I sat there and pushed on that scanner with my tongue and it never would pick it up. So live scanning, we're going to do it again. I'm going to hit the unpause button and I'm actually going to sit here and try to bump the scanner with my tongue and see if it picks it up. You see in that little screen, you can see I was getting my tongue all over that and it didn't show up. That's the beauty of the algorithms that they put in on this AI feature. And so we got it scanned. And so now when you're scanned there, you double click and it goes to the next screen. So this is your bite area. This is like, they want 3 different bites you can see down at the bottom and you got to do them right. So make sure you got your head right and you make sure you're doing the right one. But if you did a quadrant scan, you really only have to do 1 or 2. We're going to do 3 so I can show y'all how to read if the bite is 100% correct. So we'll take it. As soon as you see the little models move, it has it. It's correct. Stop scanning. Push the button. And then now we're going to go to the other side. And then we'll go to the front. That's the bite. So as you can see in the top corner here, hopefully everybody can see where it says 406. That's with me jabberjawing talking, but we just did a dual arch, scanned it, the bite in 4 minutes. So now you would take it and double click, go to the right. So we have not scanned our working model. So at this point, assistant could have this all ready. And so the beauty of this with doctors that they really like is that now we're working on number 3. So you just take the circle and you zoom in and out to get your circumference of what you want. And all you do is click or double click. And so when you double click, it erases all the data in the prep area and leaves all the rest. So you actually don't merge a pre-op and a scan and a prep together. It actually has taken your pre-op and put it here and just erased that one, which means the doctor comes in and preps. So let's hit OK. So now it's ready to scan again. The doctor comes in and preps and says, okay, it's my turn. Sorry, I had a little hard time getting that interproximal there. But as you can tell, 10 seconds is what the doctor gets to scan his prep. And you see it merges it perfect. And you hit finish and you're done. So that would be all your scanning portion of the software. And then you just hit the next. It's going to now generate your models. And it's going to move us. If you look at the top bar here, you have your home. So that was our order that we made. This is our scanning area that we're doing now. And then this is our pre-design. And so we're moving now from our bytes to our pre-design. So while it's doing that and calculating, I'm going to show you a couple of other things about it. So it has 2 different size scanner heads. Can everybody see those? Hopefully you can. And so this one is bigger, it's for adults, but this one's a smaller one for women and children. So if you can't open your mouth too big, this will do it. Of course, the smaller one just has a little bit smaller field of view, but I can say that it scans very well. The depth of view is the same on each one. The good thing about these heads, and this is what my doctors really like, is each one of these can be autoclaved 100 times. So on average, a doctor is spending about, they're spending about $25 per impression. And so if you take 100 of those, that's, I'm not the best at math, but I'm gonna say that's $2,500. So this is worth $2,500 worth of impression material. That's how I show it to them. You can autoclave this 100 times. You just saved $2,500, and the system comes with 5 tips. So now you're talking about $12,500 worth of savings just off the tips that this equipment comes with. And that's almost the, getting in the close to the price of the equipment itself. So it's almost a savings just in impression material and these tips. That's a main thing. I always try to make sure that the doctor understands the value of what they're getting with this equipment, because it is the best equipment that they can get for the value. All right, so we're almost done calculating. All right, so here's our features here. And so you can just check it all out. And then you can go to your coordinate adjustment. So you can see it's too high. You can adjust it. Hold both of your buttons down on your mouse and you can actually put it in there. So that way, when it goes to 3Shape or it goes to ExoCAD, it's actually already in the right coordinates. It's not upside down, sideways. I get a lot of those from the other systems. And then you go here to the next one. And the doctor would then just mark the tooth, just like that. So you got your tooth marked. And then this is the most important thing that I teach my doctors, is that we need to make sure our bite is correct. So I'm gonna tell you right now, our bite is not correct. What you do is you look at the scale here, and red is perfect occlusion. If you see any blue, you need to rescan. But in this instance, I'm looking all over here and I don't see any color. So that's a red flag. So all you do is go back to scan right here. And I did it on purpose so I could show y'all. At the top, there was a red check mark. And what it was telling me is that the bite was not 100% correct. So when we go back to the bite right here, we can then hit start. Yeah. So now there we are. And it opened the bite. So I'm going to do that one again. And reset. So everything's easy if you mess up. There you go. There you go. So I teach all the doctors that they need to check that before they send it to me, because if they get a crown that the occlusion is not perfect, it's because they didn't make sure the bite was perfect. And so it's going to calculate the data, and then we'll show how to send it. And then I'm going to show a couple of simple things on the how you calibrate it. It's very simple. And then I'll take any questions if you have any. And I will say that for some reason, it seemed like on that one bite, it didn't like it. So let's look at the bite real quick. We'll go to adjust. And I can already see that there's a lot more markings on here, which is a lot better. So this is what you want to see, is you want to see this red. Red is a perfect bite. So in my natural bite, I bite heavy on my anteriors, and I'm a little lighter on my posteriors. Some of my posteriors don't even touch. So you look at your patient, you check it all out, and you say, okay, this bite is now 100% correct. I can send it to the lab. So it also has a feature here for margin line. It does have undercut, so they can look at their undercuts and do that stuff. But mainly for my doctors, if they don't mark the margin, some of them do. I want to make sure the bite is correct. That's the most important thing. So once you're done with that, you would hit go to send, and then this is your target lab. So they would be entered in there. You can lock the system to only send to one laboratory for you labs that want to buy this scanner and only let that doctor send to you. The manufacturers can go in there and lock it. It's encrypted, and so they cannot unlock it. And then that's the from. So I'm sending it to myself, and then you would just hit send. But you have your view here. It tells who did everything here. You got your notes, and then over here it's going to tell what material and all that. And then when you get it through the portal, you'll print off a sheet just like all the rest of them and go like that. So you would just hit send. In this case, we don't have anybody to send, so we're just going to hit finish. So let's see here. It's exporting it right now. And then I'm going to show you a couple of the little setting features, and then I'm going to answer any questions if anybody has any questions, and we can look back at something if one of them needs some reassurance on something. So there it is, webinar right there. It's in my cloud, and everything's good. So I'm gonna go back real quick. Okay, so up here, this section here up at the top, you can see here a calibration. So it's in red. So it will tell you when it needs to be calibrated. All you do is click on this. The little calibration is so easy to use. Here it is, a little tube. It's got a rubber grommet right here. And so all you do is take your scanner, pull the tip off, go to your rubber grommet, and put it in there. So hold on one second. My calibration is not plugged in, so I'm gonna plug it in real quick. I want everybody to see how easy it is to calibrate, because I try to get my offices to calibrate once a week, but every 2 weeks is fine. And like I said, it normally will tell you. So basically we have our calibration, and we have this, and it has a little diagram up here to tell you how to enter it in there. So I'm gonna enter it in there just like it says, just like this. Got it in there. And now it's all the way in. And I hit start. And that's how easy it is to calibrate. Basically, it's going to do the calibration, and then it's going to let you exit out of it, and it'll say it's calibrated. And so it's going to do its thing. I'm going to set it to the side here. And we'll let it do. It'll only take a minute. And then we'll show you a couple of other of the settings that are pertinent to the use of the equipment, and I'll answer questions. And I'm hoping, can everyone still hear me? I'm making sure it didn't freeze or anything like that. Can someone just chime in and say yes or no?
The screen is not freezing.
Thank you. All right. Hi. I could, but it might it might go bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the calibration, but that's all it's doing. It's gonna run through its calibration. It'll take a couple more minutes, but I'll just end it. Tom has a question, so let me end this. Yes.
Hey, Duff, thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Tell me, you have been owners of the Cameo 2 and also now the Cameo Elegant 3. Why did you choose the 8i Cameos? What made you, that's my first question. And I
Yeah,
think it's
so
important for everybody to understand.
yeah, so to me, after kind of looking at what my doctors had and then what was out there, and then also in the lab world, the one thing that I don't like in general with buying software are yearly fees. So the Cameo and the Elegant have no yearly fees. And so that to me is a plus. And I present it to my doctors this way. I say, with the other brands, they have a club, they have yearly fees, and they normally average about $2,500 a year. Some are a little higher. And if one of my doctors were to get this scanner at the price it's at, in 5 years, the yearly fees almost pay for the scanner. And so they're wasting so much money off of yearly fees. And, and so that was the main reason why. I didn't realize how good the scanner was going to be when I started looking at it. But that was the most important thing is I wanted an open system that had no yearly fees. And so to answer your question, that's the main reason that opened my mind to it. And then I took a look at it. I kind of wrapped my head around it, and I realized how good the daggone scanner is, because the first time I used it, I didn't know about the AI feature, and I wasn't impressed. And then when I had my training with 8ite, they explained it to me very well, and that AI feature, and I started showing it to the doctors, and they were like, wowed. And so that's the main thing, is the price point and the yearly fees make it almost a no-brainer to have in the dental practice.
And I believe that another question that everyone will have is, you've actually gotten your accounts, you're all digital now, and you've actually gotten your accounts to your doctors to purchase these units from you or from 8ite. How did you go about that with the doctors to get them on board and purchase them?
So I offer it a couple of different ways. So I started doing the numbers myself. And if a doctor sent me 40 units of Crown and Bridge, let's just say 40 cases in a month, that's only two crowns a day, something like that. It could go down to 30. But if I were to purchase this myself, the full amount, your payment on it is going to be roughly, let's say, $350. So if you added $10 a unit to that office and say, look, I'll get you the scanner, but I got to add $15, $10, whatever makes the number right to it, but you'll be able to go digital, and on the back end, they don't realize now I don't have to have all this model work. My cases, I don't have to pick them up. They come through the portal. So that's UPS, not getting paid. So there's a lot of money being saved on my back end, but I'm able to say, I'll purchase it, you can use it, and we'll call it like that. And that's where locking it in to where it only sends to me comes into play. The other option is a lot of them don't like to be beholden to the lab. So I say, well, if you want to purchase it yourself, then, I can set you up and you can purchase it. I know the system, so I'll train them on it and things like that and make sure it's set up correctly and do it that way. So those are the ways I present it. And then, like I said, when they're going to purchase it, I present to them there's no yearly fees. The price point is better than everybody else's. And, you know, it's just so easy to use, and it's a great scanner. So the two ways I do it is I actually factor it into their monthly bill, or I let them purchase it on their own and they can write it off. Because if I
Okay.
purchase it, I'm going to write it off.
Very well. That makes sense. Also, you said that the tips you can get autoclaved 200 times before replacing.
100. Yeah,
100
100
Okay,
times.
so somebody had asked that. They said how many uses before replacing the tips?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's
And
a good
I
question.
will say, one of my doctors had this great idea, and I was going to present it to my friends at Adite, and I think there needs to be a number on the tips, or we can engrave a number ourselves. But the system comes in a nice James Bond briefcase here, and there's paperwork in the briefcase. But I think there needs to be a laminated sheet that has numbers 1 through 5 in there and 100 squares below them. And then they can take a dry eraser and mark every time they autoclave tip number 1. And that way they can keep count. So I think that would be a great addition to the kit, is to have a laminated sheet that was gridded out so that doctors could mark the tips and they know when to throw them away.
Hi, Dolph.
Anything else?
Yeah, hi, Dolph. We got two questions.
Okay.
The first one is from client called Tan. He asks, how many uses before replacing lens attachment?
Is that what, Fiona, I'm kind of thinking the lens attachment would be the same as the tips, right? The tips.
I think so. I think he's asking about the tips.
Yeah, so you get 100 uses out of the tips, because every time you use it, you need to autoclave it and clean it. So you get 100 times.
Okay. Then, Dolph, the second question is from Dr. Ricardo. He said, thanks. I'd like to know how you can get the STL file. And the other question is how you can make an orthodontic study models.
So let's exit out of here. Can everybody still see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so let's open this. So to get the STL models, you have a line of things down here at the bottom. You know, if you were to hit send, that sends it to the laboratory. That sends STL files. It sends a lot of different files. So this software makes, but you can actually hit explore. And when you hit explore, you'll see all the files that it makes. And so here's the OBJ files, which are basically your STLs. You got JPEG files. It makes different files for different situations, and some are colored and some are not colored. So just to say, let's see, this is my total jaw 2. That's a bite. Lower jaw right here. If we click on it, can everybody still see my screen?
Yes, Dolph, we can see your screen.
So you see, there's your STL OBJ file in color. They also have it in the non-color, which would be this one. So some of these files are better for 3Shape and some are better for other things. So I'm going to exit off of this, and let's see. When it goes through the portal, you can actually download your files in different formats for different softwares. So in the settings here, you have save exocad order. So it'll actually save an order that will go in exocad. It says save third-party order. So third-party order will be your open STLs, and it actually has saved dental wings. So what I've noticed in my side of the portal in the lab portion is under third party, it'll have color for 3Shape and non-color for 3Shape. And so you would be able to pull those and load them in your system. And it normally goes ahead and loads your patient name, your data and stuff like that. It'll fill basic information out into your normal lab software. As far as the, let's see, let me go back to here. So in your orthodontics, you can actually scan your upper lower arches, and it has basic movement features. It's pretty neat. It'll move. You can rotate the teeth and you can move them, but it's not like you're rotating the teeth in your scan. It actually will present a mock-up that you can then, and this is a cool feature, is it will send a PR code, one of those codes to your phone, and you click on it and it'll give the patient the mock-up ideas of what you've come through, or you can share them with your patient in the office. So I will say the orthodontic portion of it is there, but I don't know how advanced it is. We don't do orthodontics, so it's a feature that I haven't got into as much, but I'm sure I'll be getting into it soon. But I have watched in my training, they showed me how to do it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dov. So we have more questions.
Okay.
Okay, it's from Alicia. She asks, are you providing printed models with your cases?
Yes. So the way I do it is that we have a fee on what we call a digital solid model. But once an office gets familiar enough with how we do our contacts with them, we do specific contacts, specific occlusal clearances for every doctor, and we dial it in for the doctor. And once he's comfortable or she's comfortable, we give them an option on the very simple cases to not do a model. But any doctor that we start with, they're going to get a model to start with.
Okay. And Tan asked another question. He asked, tape can be reversible, scan upper palate. I hope I pronounce it right. So Tan asked, does the tape can be reversible? Is the tape reversible and can scan upper palate, PALATE?
Yeah, so it's not reversible. It has an angle to it, so it can only go on one way. And and you see there's a light, and when it's on all the way, the light will turn green. And so what you would do is we're just gonna create a simple thing and do like that. So in ortho, it doesn't give you any options. You just go straight to save and scan. And so it's going to take a second to heat the tip up. And I'll scan my palette real quick. You just turn it in there and it'll scan. It actually scans tissues very, very well. But if you were to do a denture or partial or something to that effect, you want to scan it in the ortho mode and do it that way. So we're almost ready. So the heater, I'll go ahead and explain that. That's in the settings over here. It has 3 different settings for heater: low, medium, and high. So all that does is warm the mirror in the tip. And if you have a patient that breathes heavy, let's say they're a mouth breather, they're elderly, they have bad health, they can fog the mirror up. So you want to increase the heat on the mirror if you have a patient like that. But let's say you have a young person, a child, you can lower the heater on the tip to low, and they won't mess the tip up.
Are there any specific settings to print a model, Doug?
So once you get the STLs into the, now I will say the software actually, and I'll show that in just a minute. I think the software actually has some printer options to it. I haven't got into that. I just read that it actually has a model builder that you can get connected with it. I don't know if that's an extra fee or things like that, but you know, I was just going over the scanning basics of it. But I did hear that it's integrated with a few printers that you could build a model with this software. I just don't know the ins and outs of that. But as far as your settings for building models, that's normally settings that would be in your 3Shape, in your ExoCAD, things like that. They're conducive to that software, to whatever printer you're using. All right, so here's the palette. So it's paused right now. So I can't take much more going back there. So that's as good as I'm gonna get you on the palette, but it does scan the tissue very well. And you know, not being able to see what I'm doing, I'm not as good at doing the palette. But you can see I was able to get back here to the you know, Hamler notches and all that stuff quite easily. And even in my other scans, I was able to get the distals of my second molars. I can't help you right now. She's not here. And so, yeah, any more questions?
Yes, Doc. So there's no name. So who is the support team for USA for scanner for the doctors? And what time frames?
So I didn't understand the last portion, Fiona. What did you say? What time frames?
Yeah, what time frames? I mean, what time they're asking.
Gotcha. So for right now, Fiona, as we know, for the scanner and the US market and whatnot, is I would be most of your tech support for it. I love talking to people, and I will say that it's an area that we're going to be growing in on tech support on the software issues of it. I haven't found any software issues, but I'll do the training for right now for ADITE in conjunction with Thomas, and we'll go from there. But I have had very good success talking to other laboratories and showing them how to use it, and feel confident that anybody that would purchase it, we'll have them up and rolling and knowing the ins and outs in no time.
Okay, thank you, Duff. And Paulo asked, to print models, do you have any specific settings?
Duff has answered this.
Yeah, well, I'll say for a printed model, this has nothing to do with the intraoral scanner or what scans you get, but to print a model at our office, we print hollow models, and they all have to be 3 millimeters thick. And that after they're printed, we actually run them through another software like a mesh mixer or whatever, and smooth out the intaglio aspect of the model or the inside, because they'll have some bumps in there that our printer doesn't like. But as far as any of your parameters, we don't print any with dies. All of ours are solid models anyway. So I don't have any information for you on parameters for model work.
Okay, so I don't know the name of the guy, but he asked again. So he asked, so if we have some scanners for our doctors, can Dov come out and install and do training for free?
Can I address this, please?
Yeah.
Actually, when it comes to training of your doctors, you will be responsible for training your doctors. We can supply, or we can give you online sources for that with Duff, with the doctors. However, it isn't feasible for us to send Duff out to each doctor out there to do a training. We can certainly hire Duff to do this through ADITE to go out and do this. However, most of the training would be done online. What we will do is train your lab on it, so you're experienced to train your doctors. And again, Duff can do this completely online, and he's had success with doing this with his doctors and other labs out on the market today. So it's not unusual. It's just not feasible for us to send Duff out to do it. But
Yeah,
you are
and
welcome. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll say that I have way better success with a different, not Zoom, but GoToMeeting. So I send them a GoToMeeting, and then they would get on, and I know all the ins and outs of being able to share my screen on GoToMeeting, but not on Zoom. So, but yeah, so that's how I do it, is I send them a link, and then I get on there with them, and we go through the whole thing. And you know, the best thing for offices to do is throw an assistant in the chair and scan one, you know, and get their feet wet.
As everyone can see, it's a fairly simple system to use, as if Duff can sit there and scan his whole mouth in front of a camera, it's pretty easy to use and it's pretty easy to learn, you know. So if it's easy for you to do yourself, then it's just as easy to do it to a patient. iPhone to everyone, what's the warranty? I believe it's a 12-month warranty, a 1-year warranty. Am I correct with saying that, right, Fiona?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other additional questions? If not, I'd like to give you our promo for June for the iOSs, if possible. Unless you have any other questions. Okay. I think I can share my screen. We'll need to share my screen, Duff.
Let's see, how do I do that?
Just go there. Maybe Bob has to do it. Bob, can you enable me to share?
Here, I'm gonna stop sharing mine.
Okay.
Okay. Tom, I'm changing you to the host, and then you will be able to share the screen.
Thank you.
If you share your screen so much easier than I did, that's well, that's just disheartening right there, Tom.
That's just the way it is. Fiona did it. She's got the magic fingers over there. In any case, every time for us today, I will June